Hey there YouTube! Today I want to show you all this 2003 Isuzu Axiom XS with 90,000 miles. This one is two-wheel drive, and yeah, this will be an update because I've once done an Axiom years ago, and that was with an old camera, and video quality and etc. was just awful. This one is in better shape than the first one that I've done. It's a little bit dented up on the sides, has some bug damage, scratches and dings here and there, but overall better shape, and this is much more well equipped. Fully loaded trim, has sunroof, fogs, a leather interior, and it has a little spoiler on the top of the liftgate. Has the 3.5 liter engine, was the only engine of choice. Had 230 horsepower, engine also derived from the Isuzu Rodeo, and I believe from the Trooper, and also from that Via Cross, whatever, that Isuzu that looked as if it were melting. That model, you guys know what I'm talking about. And looking back, like, as they touted, it really had that knife blade look. I call it a hearse, but I sort of had hard for this design when it first came out. It doesn't really appeal to everyone, but it's a very fresh design, comparing it to everything else Isuzu had in the lineup, such as the Rodeo. Believe it or not, this thing has the same underpinnings as the Rodeo, so yeah, it has a live axle, body on frame. On the positive note, it will have awesome off-road capability, but since this one is two-wheel drive, don't expect very much at all. I've driven quite a few, not a fan of the handling. You would have thought the modern and attractive looks would have translated to the ride, but it's not the case. It handles like an old truck. Cargo capacity isn't bad. It's a little bit narrow. The access is a little bit closed up, but once you get inside, it really does open up. You can see it has the cargo cover. It's a little bit scratched up here on the sides. Seats do fold down. Just pull on those pins. I'll show you. Power outlets, little compartment, I believe, for the jack. Yep. Spare tires underneath the truck, so yeah, that's not really that user-friendly. For women, it would be a bit of a pain in the ass to change a tire. Truck rides on these 235/65/17s and rear drum brakes. You would imagine that this thing would have had discs by now, but that's also one of the unfortunate things of having the same underpinnings to the Rodeo. Not very much was upgraded, and you can see the chassis right there. Seems to be a northern truck too. You can see a little bit of the rust making way up here. And the interior, believe it or not, it does have some similarities, or it's mostly identical to that of the Rodeo, just that they added this big face in the center stack just to make it look different, but other than that, the dashboard and everything else is the same. Seats also, they're powered here, back, forth, backrest, and for lumbar support. The thing that annoyed me most about these seats was that it had a very low seating position, and there's no thigh support adjustment, so it's very flat. You can see the leather is very worn here. Backrest, not the case, but it does hug your back, but again, the bottom section is very flat. Quality on the door panel is pretty good. Everything is soft to the touch. This armrest is like a glove. Auto down function for the driver window. Door locks, window lock. The chrome here on the door handle peeling away. Lock, unlock, and panic. You can see this weird hump on the back over here. I've driven maybe a dozen of them. About a quarter of them had transmission problems, so I'll get to talking about that later. So yeah, this truck really isn't anything new to me. And it is considered very rare. It's only been produced from 2002 to 2004, so just 3 years of production. It never sold very well, and just research how the name Axiom came about. It's quite interesting. It was actually a contest, and the person who thought of the name actually was given a free Axiom, so I'm pretty sure he's happy. Anyways, show you around this interior. The seats are on the hard side. They're very firm and very flat. The backrest is just fine and dandy, but again, the bottom is just very flat. There's no thigh support adjustments. I have the seat adjusted all the way back, and yeah, this really grew uncomfortable for me when I've driven these. I hated them for that reason. And that was way back in the day when I weighed over 278 pounds, and even to this day, dropping over 100, it's still rather cramped for me. Even my leg is rubbing over here once I tried to get comfortable. Interior quality really wasn't that great either. This entire dashboard is a big hunk of plastic. It carries over from the Rodeo, just that they added this big piece over here this screen and radio. I always thought it looked great. You even get it in the entry model Axiom. I always had some heart for that monochrome look. Just when you start these up, it always says Godfather or Go Further. Let me see what it said. Go farther. Not exactly sure what that meaning is, but yeah. You have clock adjustments, compass, and more system info such as distance to empty and etc. 180 miles and big compass there. The radio, I've always spotted many of these with the buttons missing. 2 of them popped off here. This one already, yeah, you can see. Comes right off easily. The power mode and winter mode. Power usually just delays the shift a little bit just so that you can rev more freely. Power outlet in this thing was a smoker. You can see a little chunk of the cigarette in there. Ashtray, another power outlet, cup holders. These things used a 4-speed automatic, same gearbox from the rodeo. I don't think these came with a dipstick. I remember the few that I've transported that had transmission problems after they warmed up. I tried looking for the dipstick to see if it had fluid and I couldn't find it. The one that I toured had transmission problems. There was a light that blinked over here somewhere, and that usually means when there's problems with the transmission. This one has heated seats, comes standard on the XS model, e-brake, the center console. You can see the 6-disc CD changer here, the magazine, and a little cubby right there to the side. But yeah, not much storage in there. The center console is a bit sure-footed. Armrest is cushiony. The center isn't anymore. You can see how it's like a sinkhole in the center. For some reason, this airbag cover isn't fitting properly. Glove box isn't damped, just slams right open. A bit tiny-ish. At least they were very thoughtful to add these pads here on the side, so if your leg does rub on the sides, your leg would rest on something padded as opposed to just on the bare plastic. This interior did look great when it was that tan or caramel color. I always thought that looked great. Yeah, the steering wheel, leather wrapped, like the 2-tone color up here, the lighter tones. Cruise control, intermittent speed wipers, headlamps, and this steering wheel only tilts, does not telescope, just fixed positions like so. Panel dim, cruise control on and off, fog lamps, power mirrors, and for the rear wiper. Very odd. Every single one of these Axioms that I've driven had like a dampening function for the suspension, and I always remember utilizing that because as is, these things had a very bouncy ride. Remember, this has a live axle and it's very hoppy, and when you utilize the sport function, it really stiffened up the suspension and took away that hoppiness. Kind of made you nauseous. Headliner is like a bulletin board, little dome light, sunroof. Open it up over here. Huh. That was weird. It's a bit temperamental. Unless it has to be reset somehow. Oh, I'm not gonna mess with that any longer. That's just a problem. The map lights, little holder for the sunglasses. The rear view mirror dims, has the home link garage door opener, the sun visor, mirror and vanity lights. The vanity light works once you turn on the headlamps. It's not very padded, it's like a hard piece of foam. It's very sturdy though. And the driver's side sun visor with its mirror and vanity light too. And there's oh shit handles. They're not damp, they slap right back up. The back seat's rather low to the ground, as you can see, and I'll show you how thigh support would be awful. Materials are just as good, padded up and down, armrest somewhat, door handles peeling away. To fold the seats, just pull on this cord to tumble the bottom section. You can see the tools right there. Pull on this pin, and voila, you can tumble the seat. You'd have to remove this headrest, and no, this headrest does not tilt or tumble, so you do have to remove it and hide it somewhere, and you'd have a pretty good flat floor. Look at the front seats. The legroom isn't too bad. Remember, I'm 6'1", have the seat adjusted to where I prefer. My knees are just touching the backrest, but yeah, you really feel so sunken into a pit in this back seat. I'm very low, my legs are up in the air, no thigh support whatsoever, it's just your ass that's just sunk into the seat, so not very comfortable at all. Cup holder, tumbles down, no armrest here, so you're just dangling away. very rev happy. It has a very trucky sound to it, but it's very pleasant. One thing to keep in mind, in 2004 they added direct injection to this engine, and that boosted horsepower up to 250, so this was one of the few cars out in the market to come out with direct injection in 2004. So anyways guys, I just wanted to give you all a little look at this Axiom. Very rare to spot one. Again, there wasn't a huge production, nor did they sell very well, and it's quite likely that some of you have never even heard of an Isuzu Axiom, and here you go. So anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed this tour.